You're born underground, in a burrow your mom didn't bother digging herself. The first thing you hear is your own squeaking, which doesn't exactly sound intimidating, but don't worry, you'll grow into your attitude soon enough. For now, you're blind, bald, and hungry, with no idea how much of a headache the world is about to become for you, or how much of a headache you'll become for the world. Mom, for her part, doesn't have time for soft moments. She's busy warding off anything that thinks this burrow looks inviting. You're too small to notice her snarling at predators twice her size, but if you could, you'd probably take notes. At this stage, life is simple. You eat, sleep, and occasionally try to bite your mom's tail when she's not looking. It's not a bad setup, but in a few months, things are going to change. By the time you're a few months old, you're starting to tag along with mom on her daily rounds. She doesn't explain what's happening. You're expected to figure it out on your own. Your first lesson: bees. Lots of bees. She leads you to a hive and starts ripping it apart like she's owed money. You hang back, mostly because the noise is terrifying, but also because the bees look mad. They swarm her, stinging her face, her paws, her everything, but she doesn't flinch. Why? Because she knows what's inside. Honey and bee larvae, that's the good stuff. Eventually, she grunts at you, which is the honey badger equivalent of saying, "Your turn." You edge closer, swipe at the hive, and immediately regret your life choices when a bee stings your nose. You yelp, fall over, and scramble back. Mom doesn't help. She just keeps eating, like this is all part of the process, and maybe it is. Over time, you get the hang of it. By get the hang of it, I mean you stop crying when the bees sting you and start focusing on the reward. It's not exactly fun, but it's effective. You're learning one of the most important rules of honey badger life. Pain is temporary. Snacks are forever. By 6 months, you're starting to venture out on your own. Mom still keeps an eye on you, but she's giving you more space to make mistakes. And mistakes, it turns out, are plentiful. Your first attempt at hunting is laughable. You spot a scorpion and decide it looks slow enough to catch. It isn't. It dodges, stings you on the paw, and scuttles away while you roll around in frustration. The sting doesn't kill you. Honey badgers are famously hard to poison, but it stings enough to make you rethink your approach. Your second attempt is slightly better. This time you go for a lizard sunbathing on a rock. You crouch, wait, and then pounce. The lizard darts away, but you manage to grab its tail. It thrashes, you thrash harder, and somehow, you end up with your first successful kill. It's not much, but it's enough to make you feel invincible. Spoiler, you're not. At about a year old, Mom decides she's done babysitting. One day, she's just gone, leaving you standing in the middle of the savannah with no backup plan. Welcome to independence. Your first solo days are a mix of wins and disasters. You've learned how to scavenge, so you manage to scrape together meals here and there. Small mammals, eggs, and the occasional insect. But you've also learned the hard way that not every fight is worth picking. A particularly bad run-in with a porcupine leaves you limping for days, your pride as bruised as your paw. Slowly though, you find your rhythm. You stop charging at everything that moves and start figuring out which prey is worth the effort. Scorpions, sure. Snakes, absolutely. They're full of protein and, more importantly, don't scare you. Venom, you laugh at venom. Well, not laugh exactly, but you shrug it off like it's a mild inconvenience. One cobra bite later, and you're snoozing under a tree, letting your immune system handle the details. By 2 years old, you've built a reputation that even the savannah's big players respect. You're not exactly a heavyweight. Most predators outweigh you 10 times over. But what you lack in size, you more than make up for in attitude. Lions, leopards, hyenas, they've all learned one important lesson. Messing with you isn't worth the headache. You might not win every fight, but you don't fight to win. You fight to make it unbearable for everyone involved. Take that time you stumbled upon a leopard guarding a fresh kill. Any sensible animal would have walked away. After all, leopards don't share. You, however, looked at the leopard, then looked at the kill, and decided it was your turn. The leopard growled, low and menacing, like it was daring you to take one step closer. So you did. Then it snarled and lunged forward. You lunged back straight at its face. For a moment, it was a game of chicken, except with claws and teeth. The leopard, clearly unamused, took a swipe at you. You dodged and responded with a full-on charge. It hesitated, probably running a quick risk assessment. You were smaller, sure, but the sheer audacity was clearly giving it second thoughts. Finally, it sighed, or something close to it, and slinked off into the bushes, leaving you victorious. You dragged the carcass away like this had been the plan all along. But it's not just the big predators you have to deal with. Sometimes it's a pack of wild dogs sniffing around your dinner, or a cheeky jackal thinking it can sneak past you unnoticed. You don't discriminate when it comes to picking fights, big or small. If something crosses your path and looks like it might be a problem, you're going to make sure it regrets the decision. For most animals, survival is about avoiding conflict. For you, it's about doubling down until everyone else gives up. Not because you're stronger, but because you've decided you are. Confidence, it seems, is half the battle. By 3 years old, you're ready for a place of your own. The problem is, space doesn't come easy. Every decent patch of land is already taken. So finding territory isn't about location, it's about negotiation. And by negotiation, I mean biting, growling, and generally causing a scene until someone backs down. Your first attempt doesn't go well. You wander into what looks like unclaimed land, only to realize it belongs to an older honey badger who isn't thrilled to see you. There's no warning growl, just a blur of claws and teeth as it lunges at you. The fight is quick, brutal, and ends with you limping away, slightly wiser, but no less determined. It's fine, you didn't want that patch of land anyway. Eventually, you find a spot that's just right, enough cover to hide, plenty of prey nearby, and a water source within reach. Unfortunately, it's not unoccupied. A jackal seems to have laid claim, but unlike the honey badger, it's not as interested in fighting. You chase it off with a snarl and a half-hearted charge, and just like that, you've got yourself a new home. Territorial life is straightforward. You patrol the boundaries, sniffing around for intruders and marking your space as you go. If something crosses the line, a curious mongoose, a wandering fox, you handle it swiftly. Most animals get the message after one encounter. The few that don't, well, you're happy to remind them. The routine isn't glamorous, but it works. You're hunting, sleeping, and occasionally causing trouble, which is about as close to domestic life as a honey badger gets. By the time you're 5, you've got this whole honey badger thing down to a science. You've built up enough scars to tell 100 stories, though you'd never bother to share them because bragging isn't your style. Your territory is secure, your hunting skills are sharp, and most predators know better than to test you. Life is steady, predictable, even comfortable. Hunting becomes less about survival and more about efficiency. You've learned how to conserve energy, which means waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. A fat rabbit, a slow bird, or even an unguarded snake's nest can keep you fed for days. Once you've eaten, you retreat to your den for a nap, where you'll stay until hunger drags you back out. It's a simple life, but it suits you. Still, time catches up with everyone. By 8 or 9, you're not as quick as you used to be. The fights you once charged into with reckless abandon now leave you aching for days. You avoid confrontations when you can, though not because you're afraid. It's just that you've earned the right to pick your battles, and wasting energy on every challenge isn't worth it anymore. One day, a younger honey badger wanders into your territory, clearly looking for a fight. You size it up, remembering when you were the one with something to prove. The scuffle that follows is rougher than you'd like, but you manage to send the intruder packing this time. As you watch it retreat, you know it won't be long before someone else comes along, and eventually, they'll win. That's just how it goes. The end, when it comes, is quiet. You've spent years fighting, hunting, and carving out your place in the world, but now you're tired. You find a shaded spot under a tree, curl up, and let the savannah carry on without you. There's no fanfare, no grand exit, just a quiet moment of peace. Somewhere out there, another honey badger is starting its own journey. Maybe it's biting its mom's tail for the first time, or maybe it's charging headfirst at something much bigger than itself. It doesn't matter. The cycle continues, just as it always has. You didn't leave a legacy. You didn't need to. For the years you were here, you lived exactly as a honey badger should. Stubborn, fearless, and utterly unstoppable. And that's more than enough.